Welcome to the Hurdle Podcast. This is our last mock. The draft is today when this video is dropping. We were gonna drop two technical difficulties here at MSU with the internet.
Yeah.
We tried to squeeze in two here, and we're like, oh, let's come up with this great idea of like I do a mock and Bailey does a mock, and we compare. And then we started going through it, and it's pretty much all the same thing. So we're gonna go our official Hurdle Podcast final mock. We're gonna do trades. We're gonna do trades that we think are gonna happen, leading up to the draft tonight at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pull up our little mock draft thingy.
Find it. There we are.
All right, so we're really not going to run through prospects. You've heard that the last two mock drafts. You've heard it in our series, the first three, which is our Instagram Reels. If you haven't checked us out, follow us on Instagram. But so we're pretty much just going to make our official mock, lock it in, trades, talk about the trades, and talk about any changes that we have. I feel like because some of these are still just copy and paste, set in stone, like they have been in the past.
Yep.
All right, at number 1. It's not Will Levis, even though his odds are really good. It's Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, copy and paste. Number 2, we're going to go Will Anderson Jr., which has been a little different than ones we have put out. We've been giving Houston a quarterback. Bailey, tell them why we did not give Houston a quarterback this time.
Because it sounds like they're not going to take quarterback.
Really?
It's just with the things that Houston's doing and the progress that they've, I guess, or quote unquote progress that they've made over the past couple years. We just think it's smarter because Houston still has that 12 pick. So if they really do like a quarterback, they can get back into the 3 range because Arizona's looking to move out. There's teams like Atlanta that have an opportunity to trade down. Even Vegas is an interesting trade down opportunity. So they can get back in if the quarterback starts to fall. So there's that advantage there. But we just think Will Anderson's just too good of a defensive prospect to pass up. And if they do end up not taking a quarterback this year, if they suck again next year, which they most likely will with the first-time head coach, and still running Davis Mills at quarterback, there's still Caleb Williams next year. There's still Drake May next year. And then you have a much more complete team in a 2-year span than you do in just the 1-year span and just plug and playing a quarterback this year. So
plus, you give Will Anderson time to develop because
Yep.
we agree he's the most talented pass rusher in this class, but he has some things he needs to work on. A year of development in a team that's not going to be great.
And whoever they take at 12 too.
Exactly. Plus whoever they take at 12. Who says they're even going to stay at 12? We'll see.
Yeah.
So here's where our first trade comes into play. And it's between Arizona, the Cardinals. We just feel like they got to get assets right now. This is kind of a mail-it-in year with Kyler being most likely out for 2/3 of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one team that's not kind of mailing it in. Maybe. And that's the Tennessee Titans. We think they're going to move up. I think they're over Tannehill, and they don't love Malik Willis. So, I mean, you might as well get the value while it's there. You don't have to. I mean, they would have to give up a significant amount of picks, obviously, not a swap like we just did, but it makes it easier.
Yeah.
But we just feel like they're a team that needs a quarterback that's more dynamic than Tannehill or Malik Willis. So we're going to give them C.J. Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. And is this the best fit for Tennessee?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because you still have AR-15 on board, which is scary with Derrick Henry. That's a huge backfield. That's super athletic.
That'd be an insane read option.
Exactly. And Will Levis has the arm.
Mm-hmm.
So, but why Stroud?
I just think when you look at it in terms of a playmaker, Stroud is either 1A or 1B in this class in terms of between Young and himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you look at AR and his ability to run the ball, but when we talk about just like being able to improvise on the run, you saw it in the Ohio State Georgia game this year in the CFP. He was just lights out, and from the pocket, he's incredible. I think that's where he stands head and shoulders above Anthony Richardson.
Absolutely.
So if you look for, and when you look for Tennessee and a quarterback, you want the ability to pass from the pocket. Anthony Richardson's a little more, I guess you could put it, like flimsy, I guess, with his pocket presence. He likes to get out and run a little bit more.
Panic.
Yeah. He's a little more aware, or less aware, I guess you could put it that way, of what he wants to do in the pocket and how he wants to maneuver, where Stroud seems very confident, upright, and just delivers throws. whereas AR maybe isn't that way. So I think that's what we like Stroud, and you can just work him off the play action with Derrick Henry.
Absolutely. All right, Indy at 4. We're giving him another quarterback, and it's the guy we kind of dog, but it's Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. I don't know what to say. I don't know what happened yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever, when his odds for number 1 jumped all the way up. But everything we've heard from sources that we've read or whatever, Indy is so high on Will Levis. They have the approval of Peyton Manning. I read an article right before we came on. They have the approval of Peyton Manning. They think Will Levis, at least Peyton Manning thinks Will Levis is a starting caliber NFL quarterback. I like the arm talent. It's there. His decision making isn't great. His accuracy is, I think, god awful. But there's something there, I guess, for Indy to mold. The new head coach coming in there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love the Levis pick, but this is what we're cementing. So we're going to go Will Levis.
The purpose of a mock is to predict what's going to happen, right?
Indeed.
And all the rumors coming out of Indy right now are saying Levis at 4. So that's why we're putting Levis at 4. We may hate it, which we certainly do. I would have Levis personally easily towards the bottom half of the first round. But it seems like teams are kind of drooling just over just the sheer arm strength and his ability to throw it a mile. He's getting the Josh Allen comparisons, which I don't know if they're valid or not. I feel like Josh Allen was just more pure and just eye test proved better for Josh Allen, even though he was playing competition in the Mountain West in Wyoming.
State, baby.
Yeah, and not in the SEC, so you could give the nod to Will Levis there. But yeah, it's a mock.
We're trying to get the most right.
Yep. We're trying to get the most right. And
this feels like a layup almost.
It seems like Indy is in love with Levis. So if Houston doesn't take him at 2, which is also another possibility, and his odds right now are plus 400 for him to go at 1 to Carolina, which is just insane.
Doesn't that put him like number 2?
Yeah, that puts him at 2. He passed CJ Stroud with Stroud's IQ test or whatever they called it.
Whatever you want.
His results coming out.
Apparently he's not the smartest guy. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
A guy coming from Ohio State. Weird. Number 5, this copy and paste. It's been this every mock we've put. Jalen Carter, tackle out of Georgia. I mean, we don't even explain it. 6, we're going to go another copy and paste. Devon Witherspoon, corner at Illinois. They need corner help. We think he's the best corner in the class. Here's where it changes. At 7, we have Anthony Richardson going to the Raiders. I feel like this is one of those picks where we kind of sat there and we go, I don't know how he's going to fall, but he's going to end up in the Raiders' lap, and I don't know how the Raiders say no.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you look at the Raiders' pass with really fast, athletic guys.
Like Derek Carr.
Yeah, well, whatever. But Jamarcus Russell's one of the biggest busts of all time, but he kind of fit that mold. Not saying Anthony Richardson is Jamarcus Russell. That is not what I'm saying. Absolutely not what I'm saying. Let's not get those words twisted. Anthony Richardson is not Jamarcus Russell. I will put it in the description in all caps.
That's fair. Fair enough.
But they like the Terrell Pryor. They were rocking Terrell Pryor for a while. Henry Ruggs with his speed coming out. They liked him a lot. Jonathan Abram, they spent a first-round pick on him. All these guys have failed. But it's just the Al Davis, Mark Davis way of doing things. And when you look at the greatest combine in the history of the NFL combine for quarterbacks, and Anthony Richardson is sitting there at 7, I just feel like that's something that Vegas is never going to pass up.
Exactly. And there was no way we were going to have him fall out of the top 10.
No.
That combine enough did it for us. We're having another trade here. Atlanta's going to sit at 8, and they're just going to get value. And I think one team that's been kind of active, and we can touch on what they've been doing.
Yes.
Green Bay. We're going to have them move up a couple spots here, about 5 spots. We'll get their pick, and we'll kind of explain it, and then we'll talk about the other news, obviously. I made a reel about it, but at 8, we're going to give them Tyree Wilson, edge out Texas Tech. Rashawn Gary's coming off a torn ACL. Preston Smith's older. Pass rush is never a bad thing to have depth at.
Yep.
And I think it's just the best bang for your buck. I really don't see Tyree Wilson falling this far, but kind of the way the board's set up, that's just how it's going to look. He's just so bendy and so agile. Again, we've given the praise of Von Miller kind of pomp.
Yep.
And how can you pass that up if you're Green Bay?
Yeah, you can't. And this is where Houston's pick is so valuable in this draft, and it's going to change the tide. Whatever they take, it's just going to change the tide of the next probably 10 to 15 picks.
I'd probably say the top half of the draft.
Yeah, at least the top half of the draft because let's say because there's some boards that say, hey, Houston might take Tyree Wilson, keep him in Texas, and they might take him over Will Anderson. Well, that means Arizona doesn't want to trade their pick most likely, and they
Yep.
just take Will Anderson at 3, and then Tennessee is screwed.
Yep, because then Tennessee's not going to be able to jump Indy because Indy's
Yep.
not going to trade them for them to get to quarterback. Seattle's not because Jalen Carter is copy and paste. Like,
Yeah.
Again, I just don't see a way they would move up other than
Yep.
3.
So yeah, if Houston is going, whatever they choose, we're just going to see a trickle down effect towards probably pick 16 of this draft
Yep.
with Washington. And so that's just how much power they hold. But yeah, Tyree Wilson to Green Bay, I think is a home run. He's predicted to go. We've seen there's tons of mocks all over the place. So you can read where he goes in the top 3, top 4. We just think that team needs are going to weigh in a little bit here, especially with teams like Seattle and Detroit. Detroit, I could easily see them taking Tyree Wilson as well, but they also have that pick at 18, which you'll see where we go there with them, and to fill that edge position, little teaser there. But yeah, Tyree Wilson, I think, is a home run for Green Bay.
Yeah, and I mean, we alluded to it, Green Bay. The reason they have a pick higher up is Rodgers finally got traded. I made my reel. I think the Packers not necessarily got fleeced. I think they could have got more. It's 4-time MVP. Bailey had a little bit of a different take, so I want to hear your take.
Yeah, I want to save it. Fantastic reel, by the way. I thought it was awesome.
Thank you. I try my hardest. Did
I
you hear the music in the back? New York,
did.
New York.
Yeah, the New York. Yeah, the Sinatra.
Ooh.
But I do differ slightly in the fact that I don't know if Green Bay hit a home run on this. I think it was a very even trade, actually. I think it's kind of funny how you see a trade come out and people are just taking these polarizing sides one way or the other. I'm pretty even on it. I think it's great for the Jets for the next 2 years. They're going to get the Brett Favre treatment. They're going to get 2 years of MVP level play from Aaron Rodgers. I think probably at the max, maybe 3. But Lord knows that's the risk you take though with Aaron Rodgers. He might retire next year. Who knows?
Who knows? He's a wild card.
Yeah, he's a wild card. He thinks about retirement every year. They said he said himself on Pat
90%. He was 90% retired before he went into his darkness retreat.
Yeah.
And then came out and decided he wanted to play football, and the Packers were just like, I mean, we don't want you. So.
We got to move you. And so I think for a quote unquote sunk cost, as a business term, that I thought Green Bay got decent enough value to where it's like, hey, we might get a first next year. If the Jets are bad, I can see the Jets being only 1 or 2 games above 500. That means Green Bay is going to get a pick around in the mid-teens. You can do something with that.
Picking their two
Exactly.
their own pick.
Then you can package that, maybe potentially move into the top 5 next year if you want to, and take a guy like Drake May if you don't like how Jordan Love played this year or something like that. So I like the flexibility that Green Bay got in the trade back. You already knew what the Jets were going to want and get. 2 years of MVP level play that makes you a Super Bowl contender, and the sports books are showing that with the betting odds. So not bad for the Jets, but I also think for the leverage that Green Bay had, which was absolutely zero, because the Jets kind of screwed it, I think, a little bit too, because they could have said, hey, we're going to go out and pursue Lamar Jackson now, and Green Bay would have panicked, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, no, we want you to take this asset that has no value to us, but has value to he
has
doesn't want
value
to be
to
there.
every other team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think they got more value obviously by waiting till 3 days before the draft, obviously.
Green Bay.
Yeah, I think they got more value for how long they waited it out. But yeah, if you're the Jets, I mean, Green Bay had no leverage. You could have been like, screw it, we're gonna go get Lamar for damn near the same price, and he's a lot younger.
Yeah, or we go get Trey Lance. Hey, maybe Trey Lance could be our franchise quarterback. We can go send a mid-second round pick over there, go get Trey Lance, bring him in.
Yep,
yeah, exactly, with Saleh. And there's just so much leverage that the Jets did not use at all, which kind of makes me stumble a little bit, but they went out and they got their guy, so you can't blame them for that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they got their guy.
They got their guy. So, but I just think they could have leveraged it better where they didn't have to pay a potential first-round pick next year with that conditional. And I think the pick swap is fine. It's whatever. It's 2 places. So
yeah, and it kind of shakes up our mock a little bit, but we'll get into that in a minute. At 9, Chicago, copy and paste. Peter Skoronski, tackle out of Northwestern, guy protect Fields.
Yep.
At pick 10, the
This is
guy's
different for
fun.
us.
Christian Gonzalez, corner out of Oregon. We've been mocking Brian Branch, but I think we kind of came to the realization top 10 for a safety is a little rich for our blood.
Yep.
And especially with the Raiders not taking corner, Philly needs corner. Even though we said they don't have
Yeah.
James Bradbury, he's still there. And they still have Darius Slay. But if you watch the Super Bowl like we did, that secondary got torched.
Yeah.
So why not bring in a young guy who can learn from one of the best corners in football, Darius Slay, to just improve his game? I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, I think while Witherspoon is the most pro ready, I think Gonzalez has the highest upside just with how physical he plays. He's an awesome ball hawk. And then you get to learn from Slay and Bradbury, who they did bring back. That's a mistake on my part in the first mock draft, but they did bring back Bradbury. So now you have Gonzalez as a pure nickel corner to be up and physical with guys. I think he can. And then you have Philly's pass rush too, which led the league in sacks last year, so balanced. I just think Gonzalez can feast in Philly to where Philly can make another easy run back to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Pick 11, this is now Arizona's pick from Tennessee, the
Trade.
Stroud trade. And we went back and forth. Bijan's on the board. We did like the fit with Bijan in Arizona. But at the end of the day, there's a reason Kyler Murray's hurt. And I think if they drafted Bijan, they would run him into the ground and he'd be done in 2 or 3 years with how bad their offensive line is. So we're going to give him Parrish Johnson Jr., tackle out of Ohio State. It's protect Kyler, make sure he doesn't get hurt again. And maybe next year there's another stud running back. Because James Conner is not good. He's decent in fantasy, but he's not good. So I think this is kind of a home run pick for the Cardinals.
Yeah, got to protect Kyler with Paris Johnson. And there's rumors of if they're not feeling Tyree Wilson, they might take Paris Johnson at 3, which would shake up everything. But I think if you can trade down, get all these assets, there's 3 tackles here that could easily go in the top 12 to 13 picks with Jones, Johnson, and Skoronski. I think whatever one Arizona likes the most, they can trade down, get some assets to build off of it, which is what they're definitely going to need in the next couple of years if Budda Baker gets traded and D-Hop gets traded.
Yeah, for sure. It's rebuild time in Arizona.
Yep.
Another trade.
Uh-huh.
We're going to have Houston trade down. Again, gain assets.
Yeah.
Gain assets. And we're going to have them trade with another team that just made a trade, the Jets. I mean, we just talked about them. I think they're going to realize what is on the board, and they kind of need to jump New England for a tackle, I feel like.
Yes.
Or at least we feel like.
Especially with Skoronski and Paris just getting taken.
Back to back, kind of within the last 3 picks. So we're going to Rodgers Jones, tackle out of Georgia. Big dude. I mean, they're going to have the biggest offensive line in football, and that's going to bode well for Aaron Rodgers because he's going to have all the damn time in the world.
Yep.
And their run game with their 2-headed monster is going to be just insane with Breece Hall and Michael Carter.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel like the Jets, Broderick Jones is their guy. You get to pair him with Becton. AVT is going to be coming back on that offensive front. Maybe they draft a center in the 2nd round, and then your offensive line is just stacked to the max. You have Breece Hall coming back, who was electric in those first 6 or 8 weeks before he tore his ACL. So hopefully he comes back healthy along with Michael Carter. And now you have weapons that Aaron Rodgers can throw the ball to. You have the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year on the other side with Sauce. The Jets would be looking really nice with Broderick Jones here.
Exactly. Pick 13. Atlanta trades back down, and I think we're still going to just give them the guy they would have gotten at 8.
Yep.
Bijan Robinson, I mean, he's on everyone's board, a top 3 talent, if not number 1.
Yep.
I think we would agree he's probably the most talented player in this class, maybe outside of Bryce Young.
Yep.
But he's definitely in that top 3. And Cordero Patterson's not getting any younger. And I'm sorry, I don't think Tyler Algier is a starting running back in the NFL.
No.
He's a good backup. And Arthur Smith loved to run the football when he was in Tennessee. So why not give him a shiny new toy to pair with his quarterback in Desmond Ridder?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at Bijan, I would just be reiterating everything that Logan literally just said. Top 3 talent in the class. I have him at 3 right behind Young, and I love Will Anderson. I'm high on Will Anderson. So I have him at 3 as well. He's just a generational running back prospect. It's just the wrong time because running backs are trending downwards in the draft ever since Barkley got taken at 2, and then the Fournette Zeke package at 4. And we just look at it. Running backs are trending down, which is why we have Bijan at 13 and not at 3. Otherwise, you could see Arizona taking him at 3. But yeah, just with the trend of running backs over the course of the NFL, there's not wanting to pay him. Running backs want to get paid because they're taking a ton of hits.
Yep.
And yeah,
That's why they don't have long careers.
it's just the nature of the position. Otherwise, Bijan would be a lot higher.
Exactly. Another kind of copy and paste for us at 14, Lucas Van Ness. He feels like a Patriot. They need edge help outside of Judon, especially in this division. Now that has Aaron Rodgers in it, you gotta get after the passer.
Yep.
15, Texans traded down, and they're still gonna get their guy.
Yep.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Some people don't have him as the receiver one. I think me and Bailey both agreed that he is, I think, head and shoulders the best receiver in the class. I mean,
so.
You put 2 game tapes on, and you think he's the number 1 pick in the class, probably.
Yeah.
That
all you gotta do is watch the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's literally all you have to watch. So yeah, Houston still gets their guy that can take a year to learn and have Davis Mills throwing him the football.
Yeah.
But
that sucks.
I mean, who's to say Houston has a high second? They could take a guy like Hendon Hooker maybe if they really want to, but I don't know if you want to use a second-round pick that high on a quarterback when there's so many needs.
Especially if you're looking to tank next year and get Caleb or May. So.
Exactly. At 16, this one I think had in a mock.
We had Levis in the first one, maybe in the second one.
Maybe in the second one. This is gonna be a copy and paste, I think, for me. Deontay Banks, best zone corner in the class.
We had JPJ there in the second one.
We did. I just think corner's a huge need for Washington, especially in this division that has stud receivers on every team, even their own. Keep the kid local, great zone coverage, and they're kind of old at corner.
Yeah.
So bringing in a young guy that has so much upside is huge for the Commanders.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at Deontay Banks and his draft stock, the only way it's been trending is up. And I think he's the 1A option once you get outside the top 2 in Witherspoon and Gonzalez, who I think are locks to go at least in the top 12.
Yeah.
You would have to consider it that way. And if one team sees they're falling, another team might trade up and snag Gonzalez or Witherspoon, which is definitely an option there. But once you get past those main 2 guys, it's Banks, it's Cam Smith, it's JPJ, it's Forbes out of Mississippi State, and those are kind of like and Ringo, thank you. And those are kind of like your next 4 or 5 guys all within that same tier that could all go in the first round. Because
a ton of corners.
Teams are really hurting at corner, and you guys are going to see at the back end of this mock how it's going to go. So yeah, we can just ride the wave. JPJ to the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it every time. I think it's probably, if I had to bet my life on a pick, that might be the one. I feel like a lock. Outside of Jalen Carter, I think this is a lock for Pittsburgh. Position of need.
Yep.
18, we have a little bit of a different one here. Nolan Smith is flying up boards.
Yes.
So we're going to give him to Detroit to pair him with Aiden Hutchinson. It's a scary pass rush in that division that does not have mobile quarterbacks outside of Justin Fields. Unless Kirk Cousins can run.
No.
Oh, he can't. Right. So yeah, get pressure after the quarterback and let him loose. I mean, Detroit's projected to maybe win the division, have 10 wins. Like,
yeah,
the hype's there. Why not get a hype player to just come in and let Dan Campbell just get bought into that system, I guess. Mm-hmm. And he's coming from Georgia, so you know his pedigree's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at Nolan Smith, kind of like what we just said about Deontay Banks, flying up boards. And while we may not be as aggressive as some other people, I know there's some mocks that have him going in the top 10 that really, really, really like him. We also really like him. We just like the pair with Aiden Hutchinson. We think there's some team needs there that these other teams are going to fill above Detroit, but Detroit's going to be able to swoop in here. I think steal Nolan Smith here at 18. And yeah, it's just going to be a phenomenal pick. Double teams are now going to be less of a common thing for Aiden Hutchinson when you draft Nolan Smith to pair with him on the other side. And you have the Aquara brothers. Yeah, they're going to be lethal on the edges.
A little scary.
Yeah.
That defense revamped in this draft, and it's going to be great to watch.
Especially with how poor they were last year.
Yeah, exactly. The bright spot of that team last year was the offense, and now the defense is just going to get that much better. At 19, we're going to go tackle. We're going to go Darnell Wright, tackle out of Tennessee. I think you just have to build up this offensive line, especially after Donovan Smith left.
Yeah.
Not on the team anymore.
Yeah, not on the team.
It's a great value pick.
And you have all the worst injuries. He's coming back off something. Yeah, you have to build the offensive line.
That's where you win. You win
Yeah.
in the trenches, and
Especially
Tampa's gonna
with
have to have
a
it.
gunslinger style quarterback in Baker, maybe Kyle Trask, who knows? It's just with how poor that offense was last year. Tampa Bay likes to build from the front to the back, so from the trenches pass. So, and that's what they're gonna have to do. You got to give Baker time to get Mike Evans the ball deep down the field,
Exactly.
have enough time to hit Godwin in the slot even. And just with how many injuries, and I think Shaq Mason retired or he got traded
He got
somewhere.
traded.
Yeah, he's not on the team anymore. So yeah, offensive line's a huge need. Donald Wright fills that role very well.
Exactly. Pick 20. Got another receiver. Oh, he is? Yeah, he is on our screen. Jordan Addison, receiver at USC. I think the USC connection with Pete Carroll is too tempting for Pete Carroll. Tyler Lockett's not getting any younger. I think we kind of agreed at some point, either in the first or second, they were going to go receiver. I think we were kind of sold on Jalen Hyatt, at least I was.
Second round.
In the second round.
Yep.
But if Addison's going to be there at 20, and other mocks we've had him going at
The
20.
Vikings at 23.
Well, for Seattle's pick at 20.
Oh, Deontay Banks
Who's off the board.
And it was two corners, and Cam Smith, I think, was the other.
Yeah,
one.
I still think corner could be a need. This could be easily a corner pick, but I think Pete Carroll's going to be drooling over USC receiver.
Yeah, especially one as talented as Addison. There's kind of a three-headed monster at wide receiver this year. People are saying Addison, some people are saying JSN, like us. Some people are saying Zay Flowers. I know Daniel Jeremiah's mock had him going very high to Houston at 12, I believe. And Zay Flowers is still on the board here, but you just look at the pedigree. You're coming from a Lincoln Riley offense. He kind of gives me CeeDee Lamb vibes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because when you look at the way CeeDee dominated at Oklahoma, Jordan Addison had that same style of year. And then you look at back from USC, the Pittsburgh year with Kenny Pickett, he was phenomenal. So
yeah, I mean that's what kind of got his value high.
Yeah.
He could have came out last year and probably still been a top.
He would have first rounder.
Yeah, he would have been first round, top 5 receiver. Side transfer, and him and Caleb Williams were something in the Pac-12 outside of the Utah games.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to flex it.
I had to. I love my Utes, and I love it when the Trojans lose. 21, the Chargers. They're kind of getting the guy that we've been having go really high. And it's Dalton Kincaid, tight end at Utah. I think their pick has to be tight end. Bijan was off the board. We had them taking Bijan at one point. Had them taking Michael Mayer, but why not take the better of the two tight ends in our eyes?
Yep.
Dalton Kincaid at Utah is a home run pick for Justin Herbert, especially.
Yeah, especially if Green Bay decides to trade up, if they like a player that's falling. And I think Green Bay is still an option for Kincaid at 13.
If they stay put, yeah.
If they decide to stay put at 13, which then the trade kind of makes a little less sense for the Packers if you're going to trade up 2 spots. I think it's really just so they have a better shot at getting JSN. But if they like a guy that's falling and they trade up to move there, I could see Kincaid falling a little bit and LA getting a complete steal at 21.
Absolutely. At pick 22, we're going to give the Ravens a corner. We're going to give them Cam Smith, corner out of South Carolina. This is another guy jumping off people's boards of late. And did we even have him in the first mock? We had him in the second.
We did. I think so. Towards the later half. I think we had him going to Cincinnati or something like that.
Something like that. He was later in our mocks. We're having him up about 10 spots from what we had previous. It's a position of need for the Ravens. They don't have much outside of Marlon Humphrey. We mocked receiver here. I just think they're going to ride with what they got. And if they want to get one in the second, if they want to get one in free agency, who knows? But I think you have to go with what we feel is still again, like we mentioned, a deep corner class. But this is the best one out of the remainders, I believe.
I think when we look at our past mocks, it's basically been Baltimore drafting Quentin Johnston automatically. And I think his stock is kind of taking a hit. People are looking at the drop rate, the catch rates. Granted, he's 6'5". He played in a high-profile air raid style offense with Max Duggan there at TCU. So you're going to have to go up and make contested catches. That's what his entire brand of football is on. And people are just looking at the catch rate, drop rate, getting a little worried. I'm not sure if I'm fully bought into that myself. However, second corner is a massive need for Baltimore here outside, like you said, of Marlon Humphrey. When you have an elite pass rush as great as Baltimore's was last year, they do lose Calais Campbell, but I think he was getting up there in age. He's like 37, 38 years old now. They have all these young guys that they've drafted in the past 3 or 4 years to come in and replace him. Cam Smith is just a ball hawk that's going to be able to um, use and bait the pass rush from up front really well. I just like his fit in Baltimore with his aggressive play style.
Exactly. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I was trying to push for Kalijah Cansey here. But like Bailey said, they've drafted in the past few years for this to happen. So obviously go out and get the
They're
bigger
prepared.
name. Exactly. They Baltimore drafts so well.
Yep.
They're one of the best drafting teams in the league. 23, Bailey, take it away. Your Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, he's actually not on the board right now, but with the removal of Jordan Addison and just the stock of Zay Flowers flying just through the roof, and you see all the tapes of his agility, his quickness through the three cone drills and things like that, his route running capabilities out of Boston College. Minnesota just needs another receiver. You lose Adam Thielen, and that's 800 yards and 10 touchdowns right there off your board. And that was Kirk Cousins before Justin Jefferson. That was his go-to target. Now you have TJ Hawkinson in that offense. I understand that. But you have to have a second receiver to take double coverage off of Justin Jefferson. Otherwise, he's going to see it all game, every game, for all 18 games.
Well, yeah, and KJ Osborne isn't going to be someone that gets it, like those double teams taken away from Justin Jefferson. He's a great receiver. He's a great number 3 to have in
He's
the
a great
offense.
slot, yeah.
Exactly. You need a guy that can stretch the field and get those doubles off Justin Jefferson and let the man cook.
Yep.
Best receiver in the league, and you just got to let him cook.
Yep.
24, Kalijah Cansey. I think run stop in this division is huge with Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and Dameon Pierce. That's kind of the one weakness where Jacksonville's drafted in the past and hasn't hit on anything.
Yep.
I think there's only upside to Kalijah Cansey. I love him as a prospect. And Jacksonville gets a steal here at 24 because we've had him going size 18.
Yeah, to the Lions. And when you look at Jacksonville, maybe corner is another worry. I know they really only have Tyson Campbell on the outside there.
And do they still have Shaq Griffin? Yeah.
I don't think so, actually. I think his contract's up. But so yeah, maybe corner's another look there for them. There's just so many teams that need corner. It's kind of insane. But yeah, we like Cansey here. You just got to be able to get some pressure up the middle and let Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen on the outside feast, especially I think because Josh Allen's coming into a contract year. He's looking to get a big time extension.
In that bag.
And then you're going to have Lawrence in a couple years, and you're going to have Etienne in a couple years, who are both first round picks.
Yep.
Assuming they're of course they're going to pick up their options. So yeah, Cansey I think is just a great guy to get some pass rush up the middle, and then of course be helpful in the run game when you have guys like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor there.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick 25. He's not on the board. Oh, we're finding him. Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. We've kind of had him all over our other mocks, but the one thing that's consistent, he's another guy whose value is just skyrocketing.
Yep.
Here on the draft simulator that we're using, they have him around 40th ranked. I think he's going to be a first-round corner.
Yep.
He has all the skill sets to do that. Giants need a corner outside of Adoree Jackson, and he just kind of fits what they do in New York.
Especially since they're not looking right now. The Giants aren't heavily pursuing an extension for Adoree. So
you gotta
get corners here in the next 2 or 3 drafts, especially in such a pass-happy league and in a division with insane receivers. You look at Washington, they have McLaurin. You look at Dallas, they got Lamb. And you look at Philly, and they got Smith and A.J. Brown. Could even add another receiver at 10 with JSN potentially. And then that receiver room is just loaded with weapons for Jalen Hurts. So you got to get some corners there alongside of Dory. And I think with as much as Wink Martindale loves to show blitz and actually blitz 6 or 7 on key downs, you have to have lockdown corners out there. And I think Emmanuel Forbes can be that for New York.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm wearing all the Cowboys gear. I'm getting ready.
Your turn.
Yeah, my turn. I'm not gonna overthink this. I really wish Kalijah Cansey would keep falling, but he's not going to. So I'll take 1B in Brian Brzee. The concerns, I don't care. We need a D tackle in the worst way. He's the best D tackle left on the board, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's a position in need, and that's what Dallas needs to draft. I like guard 2 here, but I think if Brzee is there at 26, Dallas has to jump on it. And he comes from the pedigree of Clemson, so yep. I just think it's a home run pick here.
Yeah, Brzee was a monster at Clemson too, especially his freshman year. Drew some concerns due to his sophomore and junior year. Just a little speculation. I think Dallas can unlock something. Look at how they've developed Micah. Look at how they developed Tank Lawrence. They just know how to grow defensive linemen down in Dallas, and I think Brzee can be another threat up the middle for them. Help stop Philly's run game, which is just elite,
New York's running
and New
game.
York's run game with Dayball there, and he loves to run the power O there. So you just got to get someone up front there to help stop that, grow the defense a little more, which was already phenomenal last year.
And exactly. And I feel like we keep saying about a lot of these picks. It's like they're building off of their teams in their division, obviously, because that's the teams they play the most. Dallas's pick a D tackle because they got to stop the run. Giants corner because the division loves to throw the ball.
Yep.
It just makes too much sense for some of these teams where there's players on the board that can fill an easy position in need and can be a day one starter that you get, and you get that fifth year option with the first round pick. 27 Buffalo. We're gonna go Keely Ringo, corner out of Georgia. I think we have talked. Corner is a need in Buffalo,
Definitely.
especially now in this division. Again, you have Aaron Rodgers now in your division who likes to pick teams apart.
Yep.
You need corner depth. Trey White can't stay healthy.
Yep.
And outside of that, it's a bunch of guys they picked late last year that kind of developed, but not like elite.
Elam. You have
Yeah.
Elam from last year.
Yeah, Kyrie Elam. I think they got doubled it back-to-back years with corner, though.
Teron Johnson.
Mhm.
But Teron Johnson's mainly a nickel guy. And you're going to play him up in the slot. That's where he makes his money. That's why Buffalo paid him the extension. He's not going to be playing the outside like Ringo is with his speed, 6'2".
He comes from Georgia, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a Georgia defensive
And
player.
and speaking of other teams, you have like you said, you have the Jets with Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, but Miami, you have to match their speed somehow. With
That's
Tyreek and
tough.
Jalen Waddle, it's almost impossible to do. But I think Ringo can take the threat of the streak away for at least maybe one of those guys.
He can maybe stop one big play in
Yeah.
those games. So
Yep, which is exactly what you want. One big play can change the game.
exactly. Cincinnati here at 28. We're gonna give him Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. In other mocks, the tight ends just haven't fallen to them, and this time they get one. It's another great check down for Joe Burrow, who is making the case every single year that he could be the best quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of always up in the air who's number two after Mahomes.
Yep.
And this could be a big get for Cincinnati here late, especially at a huge position of need.
Yeah, I mean they lose Uzma, of course. They lost Hayden Hurst a couple years ago. They're recycling the tight end position over and over. It's time they get a staple.
Yep.
And when you have deep guys that are just going to go over the top and dominate you, like Chase and Higgins, you have to have some underneath threats. And Michael Mayer can definitely be one of those. I think he's the best all-around tight end when it comes to his blocking. So he can come in there and almost be like a sixth offensive lineman, a position where, yeah, exactly. Joe Mixon could have a massive year. And O-line is something where the Bengals have really struggled. And you can get help. If you can get help from your tight end position, and now you work Orlando Brown and Lyle Collins at the tackle. Double team blocks are going to be awesome for them in Cincinnati. So I really like the pick.
Yeah, for sure. 29, we're going to stop his fall. Miles Murphy, edge out of Clemson. Me and Bailey just are not high on Miles Murphy, but there's too much value not to take him here at a position in need for New Orleans because Cam Jordan's not getting any younger. And I mean, they have Trey Hendrickson on the other side, right? Or
he's in Cincy.
He went from New Orleans to Cincy.
And they lost Marcus Davenport. So
to Minnesota.
Yeah, you got to replace him.
Yeah, you got to replace that cheer, and he's great value at the spot. I just don't think we're as high on him as other people are.
Yeah, there's some edges this year that are really weird because you just like don't know what to do with them. Van Ness, I think, is one of them. He could go within the ranges of 14 to 29. You have Miles Murphy and you have Nolan Smith, which Nolan Smith and Murphy, I think, could have the potential to break into the top 10.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, you just got to look at team needs for us. Where are they going to fit into the fold? And Miles Murphy just sadly fits at 29 for us. I just think it's great value though for New Orleans, especially you lose. I believe they lost a pick, right? Somewhere along the line because the Philly pick and the Philly trade from last year and that huge draft swap of just straight up picks, which was insane.
Because they would have been picking at 10.
Yeah, they would have been picking at 10, exactly.
This was Miami's pick, which is really like Denver's pick.
Which is really Denver. Yeah. This pick has been
Denver.
traded all over the place. So,
I won't make the joke.
but we do think Murphy is great value at 29, even though when you compare him with the other edges, he may stack up with the others. It's just where he fits into the fold.
Yeah, alrighty. Pick 30.
That's
Guy
what
we've
they
been
do it.
giving him at 10.
Yeah.
Brian Branch, signed, sealed, delivered. They just get him 20 picks later. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
They are the only team that needs a safety.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Especially with how awesome CJ Gardner-Johnson was for them last year.
Yep.
Just created turnovers like a madman. I believe Nick sent me a stat that Brian Branch has the best tackle percentage ever in the history of Alabama, which is just insane.
Okay.
Or it was something along that line. Maybe I can go back and find it. But yeah, he's just a monster, and he's going to be able to fill all the roles that CJ Gardner-Johnson left behind. And if you can get him at 30 instead of 10, props to you. I could see them trading up from 30. That's what we did in Mock 2.0, is I traded up from 30 to like 14, so that way they could take him. But if he somehow keeps falling down the board and down the board and down the board, safety is just not a position of need. It's like the defense is running back. You know what I mean? So it's just not a position of need for all these other teams. But if he keeps falling, it's just a gigantic steal for Philly.
Exactly. At pick 31.
Break it out.
Hey, I had to do this
Yeah.
for the first three.
Mm-hmm.
Adetomiwa Adeboro. Sure.
We'll roll with it.
Yeah, edge out of Northwestern. Watching tape, trying to figure out his name. This guy's a dog. I really like him. He's what, 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'5", like 280.
6'5", and what was his 40?
It was either 4.49 or 4.59, one of the two.
An insane 40 time. And that's what they need in Kansas City, because a lot of these quarterbacks in that division throw it quick. Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Mahomes is on their team, obviously. And then
Jimmy Garoppolo likes to throw it quick.
yeah, AR-15. Who knows? But getting after the pass rusher is huge, and they lost that in Frank Clark. So get Discover off my screen. I do have their card, but get them off the screen. So yeah, great home run pick here for the Chiefs.
Adetomwa Adebore.
You did a lot better than that.
Something like that.
That's enough. I said it right in the first three. I had to do it 4 times.
Sorry, my man.
Hey,
sorry.
that's what happens when you pick them.
Short recap?
Sure.
Short recap.
Scroll through it.
Yeah, Young at 1, Will Anderson 2, Stroud 3 from the trade with Arizona, moving down, getting more assets. Levis 4, Carter 5, Witherspoon 6, AR-15 7, Tyree Wilson 8 on the trade up to acquire a DN that is rumored to go in the top 3 but is falling in our mock. Skoronski, Gonzalez at 10 to Philly. Parrish Johnson, as we said, the assets in the trade. Jets moving up as well to get their tackle and Broderick Jones. Bijan going at 13 to Atlanta. Granted, they have a buttload of running backs, but it's just value and a top 3 player in the draft, period. Van Ness at 14, JSN on the trade with the Jets. Still getting their guy and some value. Deontay Banks to Washington, JPJ to the Steelers, Nolan Smith. Edge to the Lions at 18, Darnell Wright 19, Addison 20, Kincaid 21, a guy that could go much higher. Cam Smith 22, Zay Flowers 23, Cansey 24, another guy that could go a lot higher. Forbes 25, Breezy 26, Keller Ringo 27, 28 Michael Meyer, 29 Miles Murphy, 30 Brian Branch, a steal for Philly if they get him there. And Adebore.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm gonna look it up after, and if it's not right,
hey, look,
we're refilming the whole
exactly.
pod.
We're gonna redo the whole thing. Absolutely not. Yeah. So if you want a quick rundown and didn't want to listen to some of our reasonings, Bailey just did it for you in a minute.
Yep.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Are you excited for tonight?
I'm so excited, dude. I can't wait. I just think
there's so much that can happen. This draft starts at 2.
This draft starts at 2.
Might not be Bryce Young at 1.
It's Bryce Young at 1 though. It's gotta be, right? It's gotta be.
No.
It's gotta be. It's gotta
Frank
be me.
Wright likes a certain type of quarterback, and not what Bryce Young is.
No, he's the opposite of that.
He is the opposite.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, I just can't wait though. Hopefully the Vikings don't take Hendon Hooker at 23. I saw a bunch of rumors about that. If that happens, Lord knows what I will do, but it's not going to be anything good. I can tell you that.
For views, I want it to happen.
For views, you want it to happen. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's kind of like if Dallas took a quarterback, but maybe that would be a good thing.
Maybe that'd be a good thing after last year. Yeah. But yeah, I super excited. We are going to live stream it. I
Yep.
believe is the plan is to live stream it. We will be here on YouTube, 6 o'clock sharp Mountain Time. So 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you are somehow watching this from the East Coast,
If you're in Central Time zones, it's
yeah,
7.
yeah, it's at 7. We will be live doing our live reaction to each pick, and it's just gonna be it's gonna be a blast. We get to hang out with you guys, answer some of the questions you have, just react, have fun.
Yeah, you can put comments
Enjoy
or
it.
whatever in the live chat, and we will definitely answer them.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have a premiere here on YouTube. We will have a link on our IG story that will take you directly there. So follow us on Instagram at Hurdle Podcast, HRDL Podcast. Go give us a follow over there. We will post when this video comes out. We will post when we're up for the live stream, and we're gonna finish the first 3 reels on there, which is our top 3 rounds for every single team in the draft division by division. We still got 3 or 4 more reels to do there. So we're going to knock all those out before the draft. We got some NBA reactions there on the draft. I still got to do a Sacramento Golden State one. I still got to do one on the Clippers. Those will all be coming out on the Instagram. That place is loaded with
Instagram is popping off, you could
It's
say.
popping.
What the
Yeah.
kids call going off.
So yeah, have to give us a follow over there again at HRDL Podcast. Another thing, the Spotify back up and running. It's working.
Bailey's a computer genius.
And by genius, I found a MP3 converter. So
That's what we like to hear. That's what that is.
So yeah, Spotify is all cut up. All of 8, I believe, of the episodes, or 6 of the episodes that have been previously recorded are all live now on Spotify. So if you just want the audio versions and just don't want to look at us, which is totally fine. Totally fine.
I get it.
Yeah.
Get it. It's
Totally
not,
fine.
not everyone's cup of tea.
Not our problem. But yeah, if you just want the audio version, go over to Spotify. The link will be in the description for that as well. I believe that's it.
I believe that's it.
Mock draft 3.0.
It feels like
official.
Christmas. Feels like Christmas. We're finally football's back, baby. Football's back.
Football is back. The mock draft 3.0, the official Hurdle Podcast mock draft, finish complete in the books. Bailey, Logan, we're out, guys. Peace.